channel community, Jeff here. I am going to jump on yet another contest. This one, my mind went everywhere. I could do so many different thoughts, but I decided I'd do the direction I'm going to go. Anyway, this is for Beth over at Miss 80's. Her Give Me 5 contest. Basically, she wants to see 5 of almost anything that's music or movie related. You know, favorite album covers, whatever. It's really open, really just a fun contest. And so what I decided to do is I'm keeping it music related, but without showing music. So I am going to be showing 5 out of so many that I could have shown, but I just chose these 5 music biographies or books related to musicians, or basically they are all biographies. So let's jump right into this. And these are just books that I've read. I've read quite a few biographies. I've had quite a few I've read from the library that I don't have physical copies of. These are some that I have physical copies of. I did avoid Kiss. I've read so many books on Kiss and so many biographies, but I'm like, hey, let's give some other bands a chance. So first one up, honestly, the Michael Sweet story. Had a lot of good insights. You know, I've been a Stryper fan since the 80s, but you never know all the stuff behind the scenes. And so there was a lot of good stuff in there. And so I actually started marking passages in this book that I thought at one point I might actually start a video series just kind of going through some of the key points that were mentioned. And, you know, kind of like talk about Stryper a little more in there. But anyway, so there we go. Michael Sweet of Stryper. Great book. You may or look at it, it's even got endorsements on the back from Dave Mustaine, Eddie Trunk, Chris Jericho. Anyway, I don't know. These may or may not still be available. I think it got repressed again in paperback, but that's the original, one of the original early pressings when it first came out. And I guess I did not buy one. They had some that were autographed. I guess mine is not. Anyway, whatever. There you go. Second up, Adam Ant. This one I picked up in a thrift store many moons ago, probably somewhere in the past 20 years. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, I'm at some point or another, you know that I am a absolute huge Adam Ant, Adam and the Ants fan. Back in the 80s when I was a die-hard metalhead, this was my guilty pleasure. This was the one band that stood out as being so different from everything I listened to, and the love has continued. I pick up everything I can, all the reissues, and I mean, you know, everything I can get my hands on by him, I've picked up music-wise. And so, yeah, this was a really good, really just just couldn't put it down type book. You know, one of those things. I just learned so much about, you know, the behind the scenes. And I read this in the time frame probably shortly after he was, you know, all of the... you heard about all the mental problems he was having and things. So it was good to learn about some of the goings on in his private life there. Read the Sammy Hagar story. Great book. Yeah, it had a little bit of... He kind of really walked a fine line. Didn't do a whole lot of dirt on the Van Halen situation. Kind of kept it very positive. But it was just a great book. Again, I discovered Sammy Hagar in the Standing Hampton era. So he was on Geffen, starting to make it big. Didn't know much about the earlier stuff or Montrose because that was been a little before my time. I discovered him. I think the big album for me was Three Lock Box. That's the one that I bought, absorbed. Absolutely pivotal point in my life was Three Lock Box. Everything from there has expanded out. I love his earlier stuff on Capitol. I'm, again, another one of those artists that I pick up stuff all the time that I can. I will admit, though, oddly, I was not a huge fan of the Hagar, you know, the Van Hagar years. I thought Van Halen had went a little more commercial. Sammy Hagar solo stuff I thought was so much better. That was in those days. Of course, in those days, I was not listening to Van Hagar as much, the Van Halen stuff. I kind of... whatever. I don't know where I stand on the Hagar versus Roth years. Love them both. Since then, I've grown to really appreciate the Van Halen years with Sammy. But I still am most impressed with all of his solo work. So anyway, yes, great stuff there. This was probably one of the more recent ones I've read. I don't know when this came out, but this is the Neil Morse story, Testimony. I also have this where he actually has read it, and it's got some additional content that's not in the book. But yes, I read this book when it came out. many years ago, and love it, which is great to hear. Again, if you've watched my channel for a length of time, anything that Neil touches, I put my pocketbook on and love. Been a member of his fan club since day one, when it started in like 2002 or 3. All of the different inner circle stuff that has been released. Absolute huge fan. Loved the biography. And then this one is it had to be in there too, and there's no cover for it. This is the Dream Theater Lifting Shadows official biography by Rich Wilson. Now, it was originally released in a box set, which is really expensive. Came with the CD and everything. This was a reissue of the hardback. Later, it's even autographed by Rich, the author. Absolutely amazing. I'm a huge Dream Theater fan. Loved this stuff. This book was written and goes right up prior to when Mike Portnoy left. So this is the early years. This is everything up to 2010-ish. Pretty much up to that. Then, after he left, they came back and reissued it in paperback, adding chapters about the breakup and Mike's leaving. And so then I had to read those additional appendix chapters, or the added chapters there for this. I don't think this edition, I'm not sure if it ever came out in hardback. I'm more of a hardback person than paperback, and I really love the feel of a hardback, but this was only available in paperback. But anyway, yes, so I had to read the addendum on that. And so there you go. 5 music, artist, biography, band biographies related, and I hope that's qualifies for this contest. Thanks a lot, Beth, for having this. Great to jump in on another contest, and hope this benefits everybody, and y'all should jump on board. And thanks a lot. I'll be back with some other things. Rock on, rock hard.